Hello and welcome to Brazel's Rewind. Finally, right? I was supposed to do this like 2 weeks ago, but you know, life. So here we are now, covering Sajin, who I was super excited to film. But that doesn't mean squat. Let's find out if he's usable or not. Alright, so as always I started with the normal attack damage build. And this character's attack stat isn't bad. I mean, it's nowhere near as high as some of the other characters, but as far as OG characters go, it's not that bad. With that said, this may be one of the worst normal attack builds I've ever done. He does have decent range, though it could be a little bit better, and the damage is there, though that could be a little more too. But the biggest problem for this character is his attack speed. There were only a few times in the whole build that I was actually fully able to complete an ad string. It's just a ridiculously slow attack speed, and I often found myself attacking twice before dodging and then attacking again. And I was able to complete this run, but I was constantly being interrupted by enemies who were attacking me because my normal attacks either weren't taking them out fast enough or they weren't attacking fast enough to make them stagger. So yeah, this is not a viable build, which is a shame considering the attack stat is a lot higher than the SP one. And I was actually really counting on it. Next we have the strong attack damage build. Now I've always been a fan of this Sajin strong attacks, though I never really use them, mostly because there's better characters, and I kinda got this guy a little later in the game. And like I said, his SP isn't that high, though he does have frenzy, and I knew that, so I was really excited for this build. Which is why I'm sad to say that I was left disappointed. His strong attacks can deal a decent amount of damage, with the exception of his strong attack 1, which really feels like it's lacking in that department, and his strong attack 2 and 3 do have decent range, way better than the average OG character's range. But unfortunately it's not enough, as when you're done with your strong attack 2 and 3, you basically have to wait for them to come back again before dealing any actual damage. And usually you just have to use your normal attack to pick up the slack, which is unfortunate because it sucks, since in this particular build it doesn't have any damage to go with it, since you only boosted the strong attacks. So yeah, this build is not viable, since it really only has 2 attacks that are actually worth anything. Next up we have the strong attack recharge build, and I was really hoping that this build would be the one to save this character. And in a way I was kind of right. I found that this build was actually better. You didn't have to use your normal attack nearly as much, though you did have to every now and then, and your strong attack still did a decent amount of damage, though it still felt like they could have done a little bit more to some of the tougher enemies, especially his strong attack 1, which I guess does serve a purpose of helping paralyze the enemies since it does hit more than the average number of times. Still, I did find myself having to use multiple strong attacks to take out certain enemies, but I'm still gonna say that this build is viable, if only just for single player. Finally, we have the hybrid build, and I found that this one was only a slightly better version of the strong attack damage build, since just like that one you do have to end up using your normal attacks, since your strong attacks are going to take a while to recharge. It will be a little bit faster than the strong attack damage build, but you are still going to have to use them, and while they do deal a bit more damage, it's still not worth it since you still have to dodge around since they're so slow. Still, I found this build to be viable if you have the patience for it. Personally, I still prefer the strong attack recharge build over this one, but that's not to say that this build is completely useless, since you can use it, but I would recommend the other one. Bleep bloop. Overall, I think all this Sajin needs is a boost in range in his strong attacks and a little bit faster nat, which shouldn't be too hard to do when he gets resurrected. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe to the channel, and let me know what other characters you want to see in a rewind.